And major cutbacks are underway at Disney. Recently reinstated CEO Bob Iger says that positions will be eliminated. That's about 3% of the company's workforce. It's part of a greater effort from Disney to cut costs by $5.5 billion. For more on this, let's bring in Dade Hayes. He's a business editor at Deadline who leads business and Wall Street coverage for the publication and also writes about film, TV regulation, and advertising. Thanks so much for talking with us. We do appreciate it. Disney it's a massive corporation. What parts of it are likely most affected by these layoffs, and will we see more of this?
Right now, it looks like it's going to be concentrated in the TV networks area. They had created a division called Media and Entertainment Distribution, a centralized distribution apparatus. They've gotten rid of that now. And they were pretty frank on the call yesterday with investors that they know that linear TV is declining. So they're trying to manage through that decline. I think they didn't signal exactly where the job cuts will come, but that is definitely going to be an area of vulnerability.
Let's think about this for a second, ladies and gentlemen, and let's parse through the information because this is the Millionaire Morning Show, and I want to make sure that we're breaking down this stuff from a C student's perspective so that you can understand it. I've been telling you for a long time, this is nothing new. The middle class is going away, all right? But I want to break down exactly what Disney is doing and how it is that I was able to predict that this was going to happen to Disney specifically. I have no doubt in my mind, I have not checked the market of what Disney stock is doing as a result of this. I'm sure that it popped. I'm sure that it did really well. This is one of the reasons, and they already projected that this was going to happen, which is one of the reasons why they got rid of their outgoing CEO and brought back Iger, right? Bob Iger. Bob Iger is the person that steered them through all the way up into the pandemic. And then they launched Disney Plus. Disney Plus is a reflection of what user interests and the cord cutting is doing to networks in general. Disney made a large investment in order to buy a lot of intellectual property and a lot of content, right? They were able to buy a lot of different things. There you go, babe. They were able to buy a lot of different things in order to make sure that they can beef up their content offering because they have to make a large investment in the streaming wars. They have to control what's going on online. They want to license out a lot of money. But also, if something is growing, then something is declining. So from a financial perspective, you have to try to figure out, well, what is it that's actually declining? Well, the very thing that we all walking away from in the first place, our TV network offerings. Our TV network offerings. Nobody actually cuts on regular TV and watches regular TV anymore. The biggest event that y'all gonna watch is the Super Bowl, and you know what they starting to do with that? They streaming it. I think you could literally stream the Super Bowl on YouTube. Well, YouTube TV specifically, but consumers have been pivoting a long time now, and really, it's too late for them to just naturally dissolve certain aspects of the business based off of attrition. Attrition meaning that people just naturally start to fall away. You just don't rehire. You just let the company or let that specific division dissolve based off of the fact that the users don't necessarily have to continue to go down that path. Because we're in a recession and because we're in an extended recession, the company itself has to make more pivotal moves, not necessarily because they can't afford it, but why? Because the shareholders, they're always going to do the thing that's in the best interest of the shareholders. Now, I got rid of my Disney stock, so I'm no longer a shareholder. But my point is that you guys need to start making longer, more informed decisions on how it is that you can pivot and make the most money as a owner and not necessarily as a person that is looking to get a job. A job is cool, but a job just gives you a bigger shovel to be able to pick up that dirt and then plant better seeds and then have a better garden so that you can then have your money work for you. Disney, just like every other company, is making the best decision that's in the best interest of their shareholders, the owners of the company. It's the people that own the company are the ones that's going to benefit the most. It's not going to be the average everyday worker. So when you see President Biden, and I broke this down the other day, when you see Biden jump on a live stream or he do his State of the Union address and he talks about all of the jobs that he's creating, he's also not going to talk about how many more jobs that's being lost while we're in an extended recession, and they continue to raise rates based off of the idea that they're trying to stem inflation. The question then becomes, and I'm going to read the super chat shortly, traditional TV is going out the window. The question isn't whether or not traditional TV is going out the window, because we've all known traditional TV was going out the window for a long time. The question then becomes, how is traditional TV going out the window long term going to impact you from a financial perspective, as far as A, your investments, and then B, how it is that you're going to be affected depending on what industry you're a part of. Now we've gotten into a point to where either you're going to be a gig economy worker, which that's going to go away in a lot of instances, because it's one of the reasons why they're trying to automate driving and everything like that, because they want to remove the human element out of it, because humans and people are problematic. The more humans become more entitled, the more we become socialists, the more we lean into liberal policies, the faster that innovation will speed up in order to replace you. Let me say it one more time. The more we lean into liberal policies, the more problematic humans become, the more protesting you do, the more asking for $15 an hour, the more you complain about what it is that's going on in your job at Amazon, the more you are going to become a gig economy worker, meaning that you're not even going to be an employee with healthcare coverage, which is one of the reasons why they're pushing healthcare coverage so hard as far as the Obamacare and how many people are signing up. It's not because it's so good for us. It's because we've pushed technology to out-innovate the need for people in order to be able to survive. If you understand how money works, then you know that this whole Obamacare thing, or the Affordable Care Act, and why they're having so many people sign up is because so many people no longer have the ability to be able to have a job, provide healthcare coverage for them, because companies are getting rid of workers. They're not hiring workers. You are now becoming a contractor as needed. You said you wanted to start your own business? There you go. You can be a gig economy worker. You have no health care. No, remember when y'all was talking negative about jobs? You ain't listen. It's about being a boss. Y'all was listening to Dame Dash, and he was saying, make sure you start a business. Man, starting a business, for those of y'all that don't understand things from a business perspective, starting a business is just creating another job for yourself. It doesn't mean that you know how to lean into understanding things from a business perspective. Starting a business is just creating another job for yourself. It does not mean that you're starting things from a business, you understand things from a business perspective. You becoming a gig economy worker is literally you owning your own business. But how much profitable is it than you having a healthcare coverage, the 401k, the 401k match, the life insurance that the company provides? The total compensation package is much more than what it is that you earn. The bonuses, the pay equity, all of those things is calculated when we're talking about a total compensation package. Disney is not the only company that's going to be laying off. We've seen technology companies, we've seen legacy companies, we've seen automakers, we've seen a lot of things. And you know what they're going to add? You know what they're going to want more of until they out-innovate you on that aspect too? They're going to want more warehouse workers, more DoorDash delivery drivers, more Grubhub workers, more Uber drivers, until they can automate that. And they trying to get rid of you truckers too. All of y'all, listen, let's go buy a truck or whatever. Man, they can't wait to be able to get the infrastructure. The only thing that's slowing these companies down is not the technology. The technology is there. They can run semis all day long down the road without any kind of problem. I'm definitely going to read the super chats. Thank you, Kingdom Minded. They can run these autonomous vehicles. Literally here in Michigan, the University of Michigan for years now has had an automation city where it's literally a replication of what it is that autonomous cars would be able to do in order for them to be able to completely get rid of the driver. They're removing all of the parts. Electrification wasn't just for sustainable energy. It wasn't for climate change. Y'all got sold that bill of goods because y'all didn't understand how money works. The electrification of vehicles was innovation in that, okay, first of all, they've had this technology for a long time. If you haven't already watched the movie, watch Who Killed the Electric Car when GM was doing his way back in the 90s. The incentive was, at the time, it didn't make sense because the oil companies and a lot of these cities and a lot of these legacy automakers were incentivizing cities in order to get rid of it because they didn't want to spend the money in order to do the research and development. The technology has been there for a long time. The reason that they didn't want to do it, and I need y'all to hear me out because I'm definitely going to give y'all a gem right here. The reason why they didn't do it had nothing to do with climate change. They don't care about climate change. The reason that they now are able to do it is because they can innovate to the point to where they don't have to use as many parts, which means that they have less workers. Think about it. You don't have to go get an oil change. You don't have to go and get spark plugs. You don't have a transmission in your car anymore. You get rid of the dealerships, you get rid of the maintenance people, you get rid of you have less workers on the assembly line. Tesla literally innovated to the point to where they're stamping out the entire car to where you don't even have to put parts together. They're going to sell it to you and say, well, you'll have less quality issues, it's better for the environment, which two things can be true at once. But what they're doing is they're removing the need for workers in order to be able to sell you a vehicle at a higher price. And then they'll say, well, America is doing the right thing in order to give you the incentives to switch over to electrification. The only thing that's keeping you on your job is the fact that the federal government haven't fixed the infrastructure enough to be able to support what the technology is doing. Hear me out. I'm a C student. I'm breaking it down to you from a C student's perspective. The federal government has not innovated from an infrastructure perspective. The roads that you have, the lights, the cameras, everything that's going on in society, the federal government has not innovated enough from an infrastructure perspective and from a regulation perspective as far as Congress, because you know your politicians are slow as fuck. They have not innovated fast enough in order to be able to support the technology. The technology is there. They can't wait to get rid of you. It's coming. It's coming. It may come a little bit slower than you think it is, but it's coming. And so what I ask y'all to do on a regular basis is do the thing that's in the best interest for you. Because you sitting there complaining about what the average man makes and what the federal government is going to do and continue to get distracted by what you think is race wars, it's a class war. You are going to be on the tail end. It's a movie called, is it The Dawn of the Dead or something like that? And it was a black guy or whatever, and like it was the haves and the have-nots. It was a zombie movie. I love apocalyptic movies and I love zombie movies. And I think it was called like The Dawn of the Dead, where basically they would send a group of people that basically was like the middle class, and they would go out and they would scavenge for booze and stuff like that. And they would have to dodge the zombies and all of this other type of stuff. And then the one guy, he got to a point where he saved up so much money to where he thought that he was going to buy himself into the upper class, and he got pissed because they wouldn't let him in because it was too late. By the time that the zombie apocalypse happened in that particular movie, what wound up happening is they had already separated who it is that they wanted to be in the haves and the have-nots. You have a finite amount of time. Your kids have a finite amount of time. Go ahead and keep having as many kids as you want to and see what happens. Go ahead and depend on the federal government in order to continue to give you these stimulus checks and see what happens. Your houses is getting smaller. The land that you have to be able to live on is smaller. The cost of eggs is smaller. The availability of normal everyday jobs when you got out of high school is smaller. Your debt is higher. Your requirement in order to be able to get higher education, in order to even live a middle-class lifestyle, is more. Your ability to even be able to take care of your kids is less because it costs more to raise a child more than ever before. Your dependency as far as being able to have a strong family structure is diminished because you need two family incomes, or the man and the woman, in order to go to work, in order for y'all to be able to make money. Your ability to be able to survive is going to go down more and more and more every single day because you are not making the right decisions now that would then separate you. Because listen, you're going to have to make a decision. This Disney thing is just a reflection of the bigger issue. You're going to have to make a decision because it's not going to be up to you. You're going to have to make a decision. And the decision is going to be, because you cannot fence ride. Even God himself in the Bible said, listen, you either going to have to be hot or cold, because the people that's in the middle, I spit lukewarm out of my mouth. God even know it ain't going to be no fence riders. For long enough, we've had the middle class, and I like the middle class. I think that the middle class is awesome. I come from a middle class family, but I also was able to recognize, listen, by the time that I get old, it ain't going to be no middle class. I don't want my daughter to be sitting on the other side of the fence, so I'm going to have to make the sacrifice now in order to build wealth, so my daughter is not on the other side of that fence. What I'm telling you is that whether you like it or not, you're going to have to make a decision of whether or not you're going to be on the losing end or the winning end, because it's only going to be winners and losers. The people that are having children that are poor, you are creating another slave culture that you will not be able to work your way into success, because you cannot save yourself to wealth. You cannot put enough money in the bank and then get interest on your savings account in order to be wealthy. You are going to have to change your mindset in order to be able to get into this league, in order to get into the club. The wealth gap is large. Less than 1% of the population owns 90% of the real estate. If that don't tell you what the difference is and that there is no middle class and it's going away faster and faster, I don't know what is. You make $100,000 a year and you cannot even raise a family on it. Don't tell me you can. I've done the math. I've looked at people's finances. I coach people every day. I know what's going on. You are going to have to make a decision. And if you think that you're going to raise your kids to just be a regular everyday person, it's over. It's over.